Here to give you the ultimate reality check, your pal, your friend, Yo Pal Hal.
That's really funny. Yesterday, for the first time ever, we were in the car and she requested it by name. She goes, Dad, I need you, you're sexy, and I know it. I was like, this is out of control. All right, guys, want to have some fun and bring it up a notch? Awesome. All right, so that little game called What Do We All Have in Common? Okay, little game. We'll start with an easy one. Raise your hand if you are on Facebook. Really? Wow, I had no idea. Look around the room. We're practically family. All right. How about this one? Raise your hand if you play Words with Friends. Nice. My hand is up, by the way. And no, don't request me. I can't have any more games. All right. Let's do this. Let's see who we have in common that we know and that we love. How many John Cain fans in the room? Make some noise. If you're a fan of the Front Row Foundation, point your fingers to the sky and make some noise. Awesome. Me too, man. I love it. So, I've been selling Cutco since 1998. You guys are probably wondering, how old is that guy up there? Right? Why do you still have spiky hair? Has he grown out of that yet? No. I started selling Cutco in 1998. But, the reality is, although I had that fast start and all those, those numbers, I didn't really fulfill my potential as a Cutco rep until 6 years into the career. I didn't figure it out. See, everybody sitting here, we know that we have more potential to be more than we've been up until now, right? You know you have more potential to sell more, to be more disciplined, to overcome your excuses. You know you have more potential. And it took me 6 years to figure out how to overcome all of those challenges, those limitations. And my mission today, my mission with you here today, is to shorten that for you. To shorten that learning curve. Because I'll tell you, my entire life changed at a conference. Literally. I went from being the person that settled for far less than I knew I could have, be and do in my life, for 5 years with Cutco, and in one conference, I made a few decisions that changed my entire life forever. And my mission is that by the end of the message today, you're ready to make those same decisions. Now, every day that we wake up, think about this. Every day you wake up, and every day I wake up, and we all face the same universal challenge. Is the challenge to overcome mediocrity and to truly live to our full potential. It's the greatest challenge in human history. To overcome mediocrity, live to our full potential, and create the extraordinary life that we really want, that so few people have. Now, the title of my message is called the 95% Reality Check. And it's really what I believe is the ultimate reality check. And the reality check is this. There's really 3 parts. Number 1 is understanding that 95% of our society is not living the life of their dreams. They're not really living the life that they want. They're settling for far less than they truly want, taking what life gives them. In fact, the word average in America, if you consider what it means to be average in America, it really is all about struggle. Think about that. The average person in America is struggling. Everyday life is a struggle on almost every level. Physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationally, you name it, most people are struggling. Think about that. Physically, people are tired, right? People are exhausted. Why is 5-Hour Energy a $1 billion company? In fact, let's be honest. Raise your hand if you've had a 5-Hour Energy before. Raise your other hand if you're hooked up on 5-Hour Energy right now. Yeah, me either. ad for a prescription drug medication. You get with me? And you never even know what it is. It's like a guy flying kite on the beach with like his dog running, and then there's like this voiceover. It's like, you ever feel tired in the morning? You're like, oh my God, I have this. Write this down. I need to call it. Whatever it is, I have it, right? People are struggling just to get through the day without taking some sort of stimulant. What about relationally, the divorce rate? My mom and dad are going through a divorce right now. We're about done with it. I'm really present to that struggle that people go through. 50% of marriages not more end in divorce. When people are struggling physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially is an obvious. They're more personal debt than any other time in history. People aren't making enough money. And the money they're making, they're spending too much but not saving enough of it. So here's the thing. If we can all acknowledge that 95% of our society is living life far below they want to be, the second part of the reality check is we got to figure out why that is. You follow me? See, because do you think that 95% of our society, when they were your age, whatever your age is, when they were our age, do you think that if you ask them now, if they're an average person in their 40s or 50s that, they can't pay the bills and they're overweight, they're not happy, and yada, 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 if you ask them, hey, when you were my age, was this your plan for your life? Like, was this the goal? Was this your vision for the future? Do you think they're going to say, yeah, I totally plan on having my life be a struggle? No. But that's scary. You know why that's scary? If 95% of our society is not living the life they truly want, we got to figure out what did they do wrong, or what didn't they do right. You guys follow me? It's crucial. So the first part is acknowledging that, it's true. The majority of our society is not living the life that I would imagine you all want to live, right? And that I want to live. I don't want to struggle. I want a life of freedom where I can do what I want, when I want, whenever I want, wake up and love what I do, love my life, love the people around me. The third part, once we acknowledge that it's a reality check that we've got to embrace, once we look at, what are the causes that I need to be aware of? The third part is you've got to make a decision as to what you're going to do differently from this day forward. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but you've got to make a decision today that you're ready to change your entire life. And I'll tell you, your entire life changes the moment that you decide you're no longer willing to accept mediocrity. That was what happened that day for me at that conference. I made the decision that I was no longer willing to accept mediocrity for my life. In fact, I'll tell you the story. It was kickoff conference 2005. I had just hit Hall of Fame that fall, and I was debating not going to the conference. In fact, maybe some of you can relate to debating. How many of you were on the fence to go to this conference? Be honest, like you're maybe, maybe not. Yeah, a lot of you. A lot of you. There's a lot of people that aren't here right now that were on the fence and made, in my opinion, the wrong choice. So for me, I thought, I'm done selling Cutco. I hit Hall of Fame. I've got these other dreams I want to pursue. I want to write a book. I want to be a professional speaker. Those are my goals. Those are my dreams beyond Cutco. And I thought, you know what? I'll just go to one more conference just to say my goodbyes to everybody in my Cutco family. I want to say my goodbyes. And I'm sitting there in the audience. And I'm listening to the conference, and I'm watching the awards happen. And I got a couple awards. But I watched two reps from the Western region come on stage to accept their roll-ups. They had sold $200,000 a year. And maybe you can relate to the experience of seeing someone get recognized for something that you know deep down you could do, and you should do, but you're not doing it, or you've never done it. And it was a pain I felt of mediocrity. The pain I felt of, why didn't I ever do that? And I had this reality check came crashing down that if I leave Cutco now, if I don't really commit to giving it everything I have and fulfilling my potential, I may never do it. Because you see, the purpose of Cutco, just like everything in life, it's not what you're doing, it's who you're becoming that matters. It's not what you're doing, it's who you're becoming. That's what counts. And I realized that I had to become the person that could really stay committed to a major goal and really stay committed and disciplined to follow through at the highest level to fulfill my potential. And in that moment I thought, I've got to make some changes. And I pulled out my computer and I wrote down my mission for 2005, the year that we had just started. I wrote, I have to sell $200,000 to become the person that I need to be to create the life that I want. You follow? I have to do blank, whatever you feel like your potential is with Cutco, to become the person that you need to be to create the life that you really want. And I can tell you I have a lot of friends that sold Cutco, some of them before me, some of them with me, some of them after me. But I have a lot of friends that have sold Cutco. And I have some friends, most of them succeeded. Most of them really did give it their all, and they did a great job with Cutco. And guess what? They're living an amazing life right now. I have friends, my wealthiest friend, he was a fast start record breaker back in the day before I even started selling Cutco. But here's the thing, I also have friends, and I won't name names in case you know my friends, but I also have friends that quit, that maybe tried it for a summer, or maybe got to FSM. They tried it until it got difficult, until they had a few slump weeks, and then they quit. And those same friends are struggling right now. See, if you can't get yourself to fulfill your potential now, what makes you think that things will change in the future? It's who you're becoming that matters more than anything else. All right, by the way, you have this beast of a handout in front of you. Do you have one of these? Yeah. Don't open it. This is actually like your take-home. It's 12 pages take-home work. Everything that we talked about today, there's going to be exercise in here. There's going to be word-for-word scripts, approaches. This thing should keep you busy for the next month. In fact, at the end of it, there's a 30-day challenge, or in the middle. A 30-day challenge where you're going to commit to the 3 most empowering and important habits to take your life to the next level. And you're going to track your progress and put an X every single day that you follow through those. So this will be your companion for the next 3 days, but right now, unless I tell you to open it, which I might, put it away. I'm going to say one more time that your entire life changes the day that you decide you will no longer settle for mediocrity. There's 3 parts to the message today. How many parts? 3. Number 1, we're going to talk about some of the causes of mediocrity, right? As we said, you got to figure out what those are, so you can address those in your own life. The second is we're going to talk about advanced strategies to accelerate your personal development. I'm a big believer. Any Jim Rohn fans? Do you know who Jim Rohn is? I had no idea. Jim Rohn, the philosophy, and he taught a lot of great philosophy, but the one that literally embodies my life philosophy is he says your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development. What that means to me is, if we're measuring success on a scale of 1 to 10 in any area of our life, whether it's happiness, or health, or finances, or relationships, on a scale of 1 to 10, we all want level 10 success. And most people struggle in life because they're still at level 2, and they don't know where the disconnect is. But if you develop yourself to be a level 10 person, level 10 success will meet you head on. It's almost automatic. So I'm going to give you strategies to accelerate your personal development. And then finally, I couldn't come to a Cutco conference without teaching you guys some of my best strategies on what it takes to sell more Cutco. To save time. Here's what I want to teach you: how to work less, sell more, and have a better quality of life. Is that cool? That's what you guys do. All right. So the causes of mediocrity. Here's part 1. You're taking notes. Part 1, the causes of mediocrity. And I could probably share 10 or more of these, but I'm going to share with you the ones that I think make the biggest impact. Number 1, lack of leverage. Lack of leverage. What I mean by that is not having a compelling why. Not having compelling reasons as to why you're doing what you're doing. See, most Cutco reps, myself included, started selling Cutco because we wanted a job to make us money, right? But here's what you find. If you only work at Cutco to make money, then what you find is you go out and work for a push and you make enough money to last you for like the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month. And then you don't get on the phone anymore because you got a big paycheck. Raise your hand if you've been there before. Say aye. Aye. So, for me, I never fulfilled my potential with Cutco because I didn't have enough leverage. I didn't have a compelling why that got me up in the morning, got me on the phone, even when I didn't need to get on the phone, even when I didn't need more money, even when I didn't feel like it. Until that year, 2005, at that conference, and I decided my why became, to me, the biggest why there is, which is, who am I going to become this year? I can think of a bigger why, a more compelling why, to realize that who you're becoming right now is going to determine where your life goes. Like, it's big. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is isolating incidents. think that you missing this phone time only affects that phone time. You think that eating that donut only affects that donut and that interaction, that incident. See, you have to realize you can't isolate incidents. You got to look at everything you do. When the alarm clock goes off, when you hit the snooze button, you think it's just that moment. But you're programming your brain that it's okay to not have the discipline to follow through with the things that you intended to do. You can't isolate incidents. You got to realize that everything that we do affects who we're becoming, which is going to affect the life that we live. And when you start to see the big picture, you start to take the alarm clock more serious. You start to go, well, let's put phones off tomorrow, and you go, no, wait, that's not who I want to be. If I do that, I'm becoming the person that's not going to get me where I want to go. So you need a compelling why. And I'll tell you my why now, I still have the same why that I had then. It's how I'm always focused on who am I becoming, and that how I do anything in my life is affecting how I do everything in my life. But now my big why is my wife and daughter, and our upcoming son. Like, I work my butt off because I want to give them a life. I want to give them the quality of life and the things that, take care of them. That's my why. So your why might be different. My why one year was to donate to a charity. I was raising money. I was sharing with my customers. That was my why. So your why can be, you can have more than one why. In fact, the more whys you have, as long as they're important to you, the more leverage that you have as well. The second cause of mediocrity, what I call rear view mirror syndrome. Rear view mirror syndrome. What is rear view mirror syndrome? It's basically, we call it limiting beliefs. It's the idea that we think that who we were in our past, we've got this rear view mirror that sits somewhere in our subconscious mind. And whenever we're faced with an opportunity, or a problem, or a challenge, we always check the rear view mirror just to see, well, how do I usually respond in this situation? And again, this is unconscious often. It's a subconscious rear view mirror. But it's like, when the alarm clock goes off, our rear view mirror goes, well, hey, what did I do the last 10 days that have been off? So in order to really become extraordinary and take your life to the next level, you first have to be willing to see yourself as better than you are. Be willing to see yourself as better than you've ever been before. That's how you overcome rear view mirror syndrome. Number 3, insufficient personal development. Insufficient personal development. We already talked about that, so I won't go into detail. There's that idea that if you're not committed every day to reading and learning and growing and listening to audios, then you're not becoming that level 10 person. You need to be to create that level 10 life that you want. And number 4, and this is the biggest one, no urgency. No urgency. Most people live with a someday mindset, and they always think, well, if I don't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. But that mindset's perpetual. And tomorrow, the same thing happens. I'll do it tomorrow. And the next day, the same thing happens. And then you wake up and you're 40 years old, or 50 years, and you go, what the hell happened? I really believe one of the saddest things in life is to go through your life with regret, knowing that you could have, be, and do so much more, but you're not. Robin Sharma, the leadership author and expert, said the same thing. When to get to the end of your life and look back and look at how much you wasted is one of the greatest tragedies in life. So don't let that be you. And I'm going to give you guys a 4.5. I just added this in the back of the room. It's self-discipline. Lack of self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to get yourself to do what you need to do even when you don't feel like it. Many would say it's the number one pushing factor in a person's success, their health, their happiness, their self-worth. The ability to get yourself to do what you know you need to do to move your life forward and achieve your goals, even when you don't feel like doing it. And most people, this is the biggest lack that there is. Because they don't. We all have areas to improve in the realm of self-discipline. And in fact, I was thinking about this. I have a 60-minute audio program on just self-discipline with an 8-page handout. And if it's okay with Scott, maybe in a few days I'll email you guys the link. Is that cool? You guys want that? It's such an important topic that touching on it for 2 to 5 minutes right now doesn't do it justice. So I want you guys to go in depth and really understand and learn how to develop an extraordinary level of self-discipline. So think about it. Imagine if you could just speak your life into existence. You could say, hey, this is what I'm doing today. I'm making 40 phone calls. I'm going to the gym for 30 minutes. I'm not going to eat any fast food. I'm going to go to, right? If you you have self-discipline, you can just speak your dreams, your goals, everything that you want into existence. Part number two. We're on part number two. These are 5 steps to accelerate your personal development. And you're going to have exercises for all these in the handout. Step number 1 is actively seek feedback from others. Actively seek feedback from others. Right before, it was the fall of 2004, so it was right before I committed to sell 200 grand. I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning. No, it wasn't the miracle morning. I was still up from the night before. I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I was inspired. And I don't remember exactly what prompted this, but I emailed 23 people. 23 because I'm obsessed with Michael Jordan, the number 23. 23 people that knew me. Everyone from my manager, to fellow Cutco reps, to my girlfriend, to my, wait for it, ex-girlfriends, to my close friends, to my enemies, you name it. I chose people that could give me different perspectives, and I sent them an email asking them, telling them that I wanted to grow and I needed to improve myself, and the only way to do it was to get feedback from people that could see things that I couldn't see about myself. It was a scary email to send. But I'll tell you, I grew more in 24 hours from reading those responses than I had grown in probably the previous 5 years. And I have that email word for word in the handout for you so you can send it out to your friends and your family. Step number 2. Create your vision for your ideal life. Brian Tracy said that 95% of people don't have their goals, or what you would call your vision, their vision. They don't have it in writing. He said only 5% of our society has their goals and their vision in writing, their dreams, their ideal life in writing. And he said those 5% make more than the other 95% combined. So this is an important thing to do, you think? If you want to escape the 95%ers and join the 5%ers? Absolutely. And in the handout, there's an exercise to create your vision in every area of your life, including Cutco. Step number 3. Get leverage for your vision with a compelling why. And on the handout, there's an exercise where you can really get clear on what are the reasons that you can no longer accept mediocrity for your life. Because if you're not clear on that, if you're not present to it, you don't have any leverage. If you're living day to day and you're isolating incidents and thinking that, I have all the time in the world to improve myself. That's the attitude. That's heading down the wrong path. Step number 4, program your mind for extraordinary success. How do you do that? Well, I think the number 1 way, the most effective way that I found for me, is personal affirmations, or what Tony Robbins calls incantations. It's basically where you can call it mantra. It's basically articulating in writing exactly the thoughts, beliefs, words, focuses, actions that you need to embody to be successful in everything that you're doing now, and Cutco and everything else. You put it in writing, you read it every single day, and you program your subconscious mind to believe it as if it were the truth. And I created an affirmation for you guys in the handout so you guys can do that. And step number 5, develop self-discipline. Develop self-discipline. How do you do that? Well, our life is really created by our habits. And we typically have habits that reflect our lack of self-discipline. So what I encourage you to do, and what there's room in the handout for this, is to identify the 3 habits that will have the biggest impact on your life, on your Cutco success, and commit to those for 30 days. Now, depending on what article you read, or what book you read, or what expert you listen to, you'll hear that it takes anywhere from, some people say 7 days, up to 30 days, or even after 3 months to develop a habit. My belief is it takes 30 days. And here's what I've found. Most people fail to implement new habits. Think about it. Raise your hand if you've ever set a New Year's resolution before. Okay, every year in America, this is a phenomenon. Everyone sets these New Year's resolutions. And statistically, studies have shown, like, within the first week, 95%, there's that number again, you don't want to be part of that 95%. 95% of people have already given up on their resolution. They've already thrown the towel and they didn't do it right. And here's what I think about this. A resolution is simply a habit, right? If you say, my New Year's resolution is to go to the gym 5 days my new habit that I want to implement this year is going to the gym 5 days a week. Here's why I believe people fail at it. There are 3 10-day phases. So 30 days is made up of 3 10-day phases, and each of those phases presents a different set of emotional challenges, mental roadblocks to sticking with the habit. And most people are not aware of these roadblocks. So when they face these challenges, they give up because they weren't prepared for them. They didn't know they were coming, and they didn't know how to overcome them. So I'll tell you guys right now what those 3 10-day phases are. Days 1 through 10, jot this down. Days 1 through 10 are defiance. Write down the word defiance. D-E-F-I-A-N-C-E. The first 10 days of the new habit, your body rejects it. Your mind rejects it. You're like, I hate this, I don't like this feels. Okay? For example, if your new habit is trying to wake up early, you guys can relate to this. The alarm goes off, you're like, oh God, I don't want to get up. Just please 10 more minutes. I just want to... And this is what you're saying, by the way, to the universe. No, I don't want to wake up and scrape like my dreams. I just want to lay here unconscious and do nothing. How committed are you to the life you're dreaming that you can't even get up and So, here's the point. Those first 10 days, you defy it. You're like, I don't want to get up. But if you're ready for that, if you know that that's the price you have to pay for success, then the first 10 days, that's hell week. Right? If you're playing football in high school, that's hell week. It's horrible. But can you do anything for 10 days even if it's really tough? Raise your hand if you can. If you can stick to 10 days. Can you make 30 calls a day for 10 days after this conference? Absolutely. That's the toughest part. You get through those 10 days, and now you're into days 11 through 20, and that's resistance. Resistance. Resistance is still no picnic, but it's not unbearable, it's just uncomfortable. In fact, if you want to write in parentheses next to the word defiance, write unbearable. And next to the word resistance, write the word uncomfortable. Those second 10 days require that discipline, that commitment. And then when you get into the final 10 days, the home stretch, a lot of people that make it this far mess up. And a lot of people that teach habit integration and how you integrate habits in your life, a lot of experts say it takes 21 days to implement a new habit. And they are correct. It takes 21 days. Those first 2 phases. But what happens is the third 10-day phase is the acclimation phase. Write that down. Acclimation. That's where you positively reinforce your new habit. That's where it starts to become part of your identity. And instead of defying it and resisting it, you start to actually feel proud of yourself for making it this far. And a lot of people, they turn that progress and they go, you know what, I'm just going to take a few days off. And they never get back on. Those last 10 days are crucial because what happens is you start to replace confidence with commitment. You start to replace commitment with confidence. Meaning, wow, I've done it for 20 days. I got this. I got it. I'm going to take a week off. Right? That's what happens. So you have to understand that 30 days is crucial, and that final 10 days is where, here's the difference. Now when the alarm clock goes off, now you actually are like, you're excited for it because you've done it for 20 days plus in a row, and you felt the positive effects. Ray Reed, CSP, when he learned about the miracle morning, you know about the miracle morning, ask somebody. But Ray learned about it. He did it for 83 days in a row before he took a break. That's how you really develop a habit. 30 days is good. 83 days, that's legit. So, but if you want to go self-discipline, you identify the habits that are most important to your life, your success, where you want to go, and you commit for 30 days. And if you want to take it further, you track your progress. There's a huge benefit, I learned this when I trained for a marathon, of the benefit of tracking your progress and the pain you feel when you go to do it and you didn't actually run that day, or you didn't wake up, or you didn't make your calls, and you don't get to check the box. And now you feel pain because you don't want to see too many of those missing X's on your tracking sheet. Oh, we're on the good stuff. Perfect. That was a little bad stuff, right? So, part number 3, advanced Cutco strategies. And I'm going to go through these quick, but don't worry, these are word for word in your handout. In fact, I haven't told Cutco in a long time. I might just read these. I haven't said these in a long time. Just kidding. All right. So strategy number one, and hopefully if you've been on Vector Connect, you've heard my talks, or you've been on my VIP coaching, or this is the fundamental, most important strategy. Some of you will go, yeah, I already know that. I heard Anthony Robbins say once that people that really know something, that embody a lesson that he teaches, because Tony does conferences and seminars all over the world, right? And Tony Robbins does these seminars, and a lot of people are coming back for the second time. So he always kind of gives this disclaimer where he says, look, when someone that really knows something that I'm teaching them, they already know it. They don't go, I already know this, and they start checking their phone. He goes, they zone in, and they nod, and they look to make sure everybody else is getting it, because they really know it. There's a difference between learning something and living something. People that learn something but don't live it, they go, I already heard this before. So pay attention. Hopefully most of these will be new strategies, but some of these may be big things you need to implement. You need to re-engage and make sure that you're doing them. Number one, be committed to the daily calls without being emotionally attached to your results. This is the secret to Cutco success. Everything that you want in Cutco is based on how many calls you make. Now I realize that there are some people doing fairs, shows, and of course there's leads to follow there. Everybody's a little bit different. But the fundamental secret to success in life is to be committed to the process that creates the result you want without being emotionally attached to your day-to-day results. See, most people are backwards on that. The 95% of our society are emotionally attached to their results, and they let their level of commitment to the process be affected by the results. Meaning, bad results, and you lose motivation. You don't want to get on the phone. Nobody's been answering. Nobody's been calling you back. Anybody ever had that feeling before? Now, it's a double-edged sword, though. When you're emotionally attached, you ever had this happen? Good results. You got a big paycheck. Now you don't need to get on the phone. Right? So you got to find that balance where you go, look, it doesn't matter what my results are. It doesn't matter if I get a $2,000 paycheck or I have 30 people in a row say no to me. I'm going to make 20 to 30 to 40 calls a day every single day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, no matter what. And guess what? If you do that, if you simply pick up the phone and dial it, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just dial it 20 times a day, 5 days a week, and you'll sell a large amount of Cutco. When I figured this out, I decided to experiment. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to make 20 calls a day, 5 days a week, and I'm not going to set any goals. I'm just going to finish the calls, and I'm not going to care what happens. That spring, I was the #1 rep in Cutco. And my manager gave it. What's your goal for me? 20 calls a day, 5 days a week, and I'll make one on the 6th day if I'm not on track. He said, no, what's your sales goal? Nope, no sales goal. Now, I don't advise not having a sales goal, but this was an experimental period. But I was the #1 rep in Cutco. But here's the coolest part. I had the easiest job in the world. All the other reps in Cutco that I beat that spring were probably stressed out and ups and downs and good days and bad days. To me, every day was a great day as long as I made 20 calls. Some days I sold nothing. Some days no one answered. Some days people were kicking me out of there. It didn't matter. I didn't care. At the end of the week, I would almost not even know what I sold. I was like, all I cared is that I could tally 20 calls every day. Now, when you get that 30-day challenge, I suggest that your first commitment is making a certain amount of calls a day for 30 days in a row. You guys up for that? Yeah. Whether it's 20, 30, or 40 calls a day. All right, that's strategy number one. Strategy number two. This will save you a lot of time and get you a lot more appointments. Start scheduling appointments 2 to 3 weeks in advance. 2 to 3 weeks in advance. You know who Alex Barnes is? FSM up in okay. So I used to coach Alex, and Alex, he said this was of everything I ever taught him, this was his favorite strategy. And we're taught in training to not set appointments more than how many days in advance? 3. Unless you guys know a secret. Your manager told you, don't set more than 3 days in advance because your customer might forget. Let me ask you a question. Who's more likely to forget an appointment? A 19-year-old college kid who's never kept a schedule in their life and is doing this job for the first time? Or a 40-year-old mom who has to balance soccer practice with ballet practice with going to school and parent-teacher? You know what I'm talking about? Is it the 19-year-old or the 40-year-old that's going to forget the appointment? No. And by the way, the 40-year-old is used to scheduling doctor's appointments. Not days in advance, not weeks in advance, but months in advance. Dentist appointments, months in advance. A repairman to come over 3 weeks out. You guys follow? So here's the thing. When you get someone on the phone, that's a golden opportunity. How many times have you got on the phone and they seem super nice and they're like, oh yeah, call me tomorrow, I'll set with you. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you never talk to that person again. Anybody ever had that happen? You never talk to them again and you met and you're like, why are they calling me back? Like they seem so nice. Right? When you have someone on the phone, you don't get off the phone until you schedule an appointment. I don't care if it's for 3 months out. I'd rather have an appointment for 3 months out than having him call me back next week. And I've never tracked it, but the percentages of how many callbacks actually never talk to again is probably pretty big. So when you get somebody on the phone, you schedule them 2 to 3 weeks. You basically go, can you do it within the next 3 days? No. Okay, can you do it after that? You just keep going until they get the appointment. They go, oh, just call me next week. Go to the show. I would, but you know what? I'm sure you're busy, and I'm busy too, and I figure since we're on the phone now, rather than us trying to play phone tag back and forth and waste each other's time, why don't you get it set up now real quick? How would that be? You get it set up. And then there's another strategy that I'll teach you right now, which some of you might be wondering, well, wait, what about no-shows? Don't you have a bunch of no-shows when that happens? Alice Barnes will tell you no. Probably wouldn't be his favorite strategy if it turned into a bunch of no-shows for him, right? But here's the thing. When you do it, by the way, it keeps your schedule full. This is another huge benefit. Is it motivating to get on the phone and turn the page in your schedule and there's nothing set? No. Is it motivating though when you're like, dude, I've already got 2 for tomorrow, 2 for Wednesday, right? 3 for tomorrow, 2 for Wednesday, and I have to fill in some space. Doesn't that feel a lot better? There's a lot more energy and momentum moving toward that. So what happens is when you're scheduling appointments for they can't see you this week, you schedule them for next week. And you're doing that constantly. What happens is after a few weeks of doing this, all of a sudden you go on Sunday and you go, all right, I got to set appointments for the week. You turn the page, like, holy cow, I already have 10 appointments scheduled for this week. Is that fired up? Yeah, it's how you keep your schedule full, your momentum going, because of the momentum you create by not being only willing to set 3 days out, to scheduling 3 days out. And the next strategy I'm going to teach you is how you significantly lower your number of cancellations and no-shows. And here it is, write this down. Strategy number 3, firm up your appointments using pain. Firm up your appointments using pain. You're kind of intrigued, all right. So you threaten them if they don't show. Listen, if you don't show, I know where you live now. I have your address. And Benny, okay. So, no. Here's the deal. If you just do your honky dory phone approach, like, hey, just come inside the meeting next week, and then hang up the phone, there is no pain for them in not showing with you. You follow? They're just like, I had to go to that kid, but yeah, I'm not going to show up. You need to tell a story, a third-person story, that relates to the pain of somebody no-showing on you and how much that devastates you. So at the end of your call, after you have them write down your name and draw a happy face so they recognize you and all that other stuff, you say, Mr. Jones, the reason I had to go, and this is, I'm probably going to butcher this a little bit because I've said this a long time, but it's in writing in here. Mr. Jones, the reason I had to go to all that trouble of writing down my name and the time and the happy face and all that stuff, it's just that recently I had somebody, I drove all the way up to this lady's house. She was really nice, but she forgot about me. I think she didn't write it down. By the way, have you always recently had someone no-show on you? Yeah, you can always say that. And it might be as recent as 2 months ago. But recently this lady no-showed on me. She didn't show, and I can't tell you, I know this appointment to Mr. Jones isn't that important. You're just kind of like, whatever. But for me, this actually means a lot to me. These appointments really mean a lot, really important. And so when I went after her house and she was there, I was crushed. I was so bummed out. I was devastated. And Mr. Jones, I'm not saying you would do that to me. By the way, roll. Now that's on their integrity. I'm not saying you would do that to me. Right? So, but I just want to make it as easy for you to remember as possible. So thank you so much. I can't wait to meet you next week. Betty said you're super nice, and I'm really looking forward to it. Done. Now, there is pain linked for them to the idea of not showing up on you. They don't want to be that person. Because you just said, no, I'm not saying you would do that to me. And now they don't want to do that to you. But if you don't have that approach in your phone approach, it's only an extra 20 seconds. They don't care about doing that to you because there is no that will ever draw their attention. You guys follow? All right, that will dramatically fix your no-shows and cancellations. All right, strategy number 4. This will double your income with no extra work, by the way. This is probably my favorite. fact, I'm going to read you guys a little testimonial on this strategy. Here's the strategy. Leave a message for every person you call. I know there's a video floating around from me on the web, so I'm sure some of you guys, in fact, I'm curious, how many of you leave a message for every person you call? You've heard this from me before? About a third of the room? Okay, good. For those of you that haven't, here you go. For those of you that do, you might be messing it up, so at least there's approaches and a hand up for you to do it right. Alright, so here's the deal. Every answering machine that you get, normally we get a voicemail. Now we're taught not to leave a message when we're new, right? Another thing we're taught. You guys want, I'm going to let you know another secret. Here's why you're taught that. Okay? Because when we're new, when I was a new rep, I was a moron. You know what I mean? Meaning I'm just saying that in terms of, I had no organization skills. I didn't know my approaches by heart yet. I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, my voicemail had a rap song on it. You know what I mean? Like, I was in college. You know, like a beat, like, what up, yo, pal, Hal, leave me a message. And if this girl called me, she would never call me again or answer the phone. You follow? So here's the deal. When you're new, you're not organized to keep track of all the messages that you leave. If you want to evolve as a technical rep and take your business to another level, you've got to leave messages every time. And here's why. When you don't leave messages, imagine you make 20 phone calls. You talk to 2 people, and you get 18 voicemails. If you just hang up and don't leave messages, that's what you're taught to do back in the day when you were a new rep. That's 18 wasted phone calls. It's what I call dead energy. Meaning, you put energy out into the universe to schedule the appointment by calling them, but if you hang up the phone, the energy dies right then and there. If you leave a message, you go from dead energy, hanging up the phone, to creating what I call potential energy. Potential energy means you left 3 messages, or you left a message, now the message is out there in the universe, going to work for you. It's energy that is designed to create a result to get someone to call you back to schedule an appointment. And if you leave 18 messages, that's a lot of potential energy. Now, will all 18 people call you back? No. Probably about 20% of them. So 18 messages, you get 3 or 4 phone calls back. That's pretty cool. Here's the best part though. When they call you back, your percentage of setting the appointment goes way, way up. And I'll tell you why. When they call you back, they want to talk to you. When you call them, they don't want to talk to you. Think about it. When you call someone, they're doing anything in that moment other than waiting for your phone call. Anything. So it's a nuisance. They're making dinner, they're hanging out with their family, they're playing words with friends, they're doing anything but waiting for your call. So when they call you, hey, I got your message, what do you need? Now you got it. The intention is already there to help you. So your set percentage, if your normal set percentage is 50%, so it goes like 70, 80, 90% with the people that call you back. Huge. I'm going to read you guys a quick testimonial, and I'm actually not even going to tell you how to leave messages because it's in the handout. Exactly what to say, as is how you keep track of every person you have a message for. What do you write, where do you write it, all of that. But this was from Jake Kotzer. He sent me an email after I caught this on a call that I did. He said, Hal, this is amazing. I started leaving messages on every call I make, and I'm having tons of callbacks. I have stopped taking phone time due to all my wasted energy, and have seen my business begin to take off as a result. Thanks for this tip, Hal. Totally revolutionized the way I do phone time and my business. Jake Foster, SFSM in Canada. So all the how-to is in the handout. Oh man, we got more stuff. I thought it was done. Okay. That's it. Alright, so here's some strategies. Those are quality strategies. Here's some selling strategies. Strategy number 1. I call this instant rapport. The problem is it takes too long to build rapport. And it also can be awkward. You ever had that where you're like, you feel like those rapport scores, and you're like, so, where'd you go on vacation recently? Oh, what's that painting of? Your yard's really nice, you have a garden, right? And like, people are stupid. They're like, they can tell it's worse rapport. They're like, just do the demo already. So my rapport took between 0 and 2 minutes. The way that I did rapport was, I believed in building rapport throughout the presentation. See, who you're being is what builds rapport. How you are builds rapport. Now, there is a method. I have a 3-step, real simple, 2-minute rapport process that, again, I'm not going to, you guys can go study it. It's in the handout, word for word, the 3 steps of how you will report in 2 minutes or less. And it's probably going to be more effective than the report that takes you 10 or 15 and drags on. It's respecting the person's time you respect their time, you get right into it. That's part of the report clause. How do I say to Jones? I value your time. I'm sure you have a lot of other stuff to do, so I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to get right into this. Do they appreciate you for that? Yeah, do they feel respected? Absolutely. 2-minute report. All right, the next tip. Shorten names and uses. Shorten names and uses. Here's the thing. Buying is an emotional process. My names and uses used to take, again, 2 minutes. Now I should say, it used to take 15 to 20. And then it was down to 2. Even if you let their names and uses too long. Now, does anyone feel like that's the emotional high of their demo? The customers are like, I love doing every little thing your guys do. Tell me more. Wait a minute, is that all the chef knife can do? You only listed 17 things it chops. What else could I chop with it? Like, dude, this is your chef that's knife for chopping all your veggies. Dude, they can figure out, oh, I can use that for this and this and this and this and this. Here's the problem. The longer your names and uses are, the more people feel like they don't need the knives. Right? If you're like, this is your trimmer for slicing tomatoes. She goes, I do that. I need that one. This is for slicing tomatoes and trimming the fat off of meat and sectioning chickens and she's like, and sectioning grapefruit and boning chickens. She's like, I don't bone chickens. I have boneless breasts. I don't eat grapefruit. They're too acidic, right? You have red tomato. Shut up. Right? Why do you keep going? So, shorten names and uses. And the way you do it is you just list 2 to 4 uses that everyone does. And here's a quick example, by the way. Don't call the butcher knife unless you live in like some rural area where it's a bunch of farmers. Maybe you do. But like where I live, again, boneless chicken breasts. That's what people bought. I don't know anyone that's like, oh yeah, I bought whole chickens and then I just chop them up like Tom Australian in 8.5 seconds. Only Tom does that. Even he doesn't do it anymore. Even Tom has evolved past. Here's it. Call the butcher knife the melon knife. Yeah, it's for those big melons like watermelon. Here's the cool part, by the way. You ever had Mr. Jones hold the butcher and go, ooh, this is too heavy. You ever had that? Here's how you spin that into a positive. Mr. Jones, this is the melon knife for, watermelon, honey, cantaloupe. In fact, my mom loves it because it's the heaviest knife in the set. So when you have a big watermelon, instead of trying to force your way through it, you pretty much just drop the knife on it, it'll split it in 2. Look how heavy it is. Ooh, that is heavy. All right, and finally, I think this is one of the most underused strategies. Have you ever heard my service call talk? I talked on the service call talk on Vector Connect, but I also believe you should do it on demos. I think this is one of the most important things you can do to take your closing percentage and your average order size to levels they've never been before. It's called on-hand bonus items. On-hand bonus items. I'm going to give you 3 facts. By the way, on-hand bonus items, just so you know what they are, it's having a bunch of Petco in your trunk, and when you close the sale, you bring in all the free stuff and you put it in front of them. So instead of sitting there going, where like the most enticing thing is if they're debating, should I say yes or no to this order? And if I say yes, I get a piece of paper that tells me what I bought, and a promise that you guess will show up in a few weeks or something. That's not very enticing. Here's the fact. Fact number 1. People buy based on emotion. They buy on how they feel in the moment. And again, now, of course, if you're a great salesperson, you can get somebody enthusiastic, and it's not that you can't sell without this, but here's fact number 2, and this is the biggest one. People are highly motivated by instant gratification. Human beings are highly motivated by instant gratification. When you close the Petco sale and all they get is an order for them, what instant gratification are they giving you? Fact number 3, when it comes to freebies, aka bonus items, when it comes to bonus items, people value quantity over price/value. People value quantity of items. And there's been studies that have shown on this, that marketers have done, where if someone's like, you can get this thing and it's worth $300, or you can get these 50 things, right? They want the 50 little gadgets. Ooh, I get this. It's way more appealing to someone than I get this thing. So those are some things to keep in mind. And when you get into the presentation, what I would do is I would always do my close. Actually, I call it the emotional roller coaster close. By the way, But how many of you have done emotional roller coaster close? Okay, for those of you that haven't done it, it's in the handout. And I don't think I've ever had this before. There's the demo one and the service call one are both in the handout. It's called the emotional roller coaster close. It's basically how you address how the customer's feeling, all of their concerns as you're closing. So you feel like you totally understand where they're coming from, you relate to it, and then you handle those concerns all in the close. This poetic little close. I'm not going to go over it right now, but here's the point. After you do the close, you say to Mr. Jones, I'm going to give you a second to think about that. Which, by the way, is a great hack because you're taking the pressure off of them feeling like their back's against the wall. They have to say yes or no right there, which a lot of people say no because of the fear of making the wrong decision. So when you say, Ms. Jones, you did your close, you were leading up to the asking the order, you say, Ms. Jones, think about that for a second. I'm going to run to the car, but I think I have a few of those freebies with me. Let me see what happens. They're like, okay, they need to breathe, think about it, no pressure. You walk out to the car, and I know what happened. I know I've got 7 ice cream scoops, 12 trimmers, and I come back like freaking Santa Claus. I'm like, Stones, I had all the stuff you wanted. If you get the set today, Mr. Jones, you get to keep the ice cream scoop, and this, and you get the peeler, and the pizza cutter, and you get the shears, and again, it's low-priced items, as many as you can possibly add up. I don't want you to know, you get the deluxe carving set, that's all you get. Even though that costs twice as much as 5 of the gadgets, they'd rather have 5 of the gadgets. So now I say, Ms. Jones, if you decide you want to do it, no, totally your call, but you get to keep all that today, and then your whole set will be here in about a week and a half. So let me know what you think. And that's it. And closing is on autopilot. The emotional roller coaster close already handled all their concerns. It already related to what they're feeling and concerned about, handled it all. Now, all they're looking at is all this great stuff they can keep today. They say yes. And I'll tell you, when I started doing this, my closing percentage went from like, I don't know, 75 to like 89. I mean, it's like no one said no. People were just like, I didn't drop down my average orders was high, because they're like, I'll take it. Like they're motivated, they want all that stuff. But think about the difference between looking at all that stuff and looking at an order form. Ms. Jones, if you say yes, the guitar's that amount of money. Is that fun, Ms. Jones? If you say yes, I'll take this amount of money off the credit card today. That's it. It's not very exciting. All right, and I'm going to wrap up with some tips on lifestyle. Because here's the thing. I've been on both sides of the Cutco equation where Cutco was my life, and I felt overwhelmed, and like my happiness was dependent on my Cutco results, right? Being attached to the results emotionally. Raise your hand if you've been there before where you're like Cutco, it's all encompassing, yeah? And then I've been on the other side where I use Cutco as a vehicle to design the lifestyle that I wanted, my VIP lifestyle. I used Cutco to be able to buy my first house and write my book and launch my career as a speaker. All of those things. I've been on both sides. So I want to give you just a few tips on how to design your lifestyle and use Cutco as a vehicle to live an extraordinary life, not just do Cutco all the time. It's not one or the other. You can have both. Cutco, selling a ton of Cutco, and your life being extraordinary. Here's my recommendation. Don't work more than 4 days a week. Other than a push period. But my Cutco life changed when I created a schedule that I was excited about. And here's the deal. I like having breaks in between my working. So what I did is I worked 2 days in a row, took 2 days off, worked 2 days in a row, took a day off. The way that looked was I worked Monday and Tuesday to get off to a good start for the week. I took Wednesday and Thursday off. And then I worked Friday and Saturday, and then I took Sunday off. But how nice is that? You never have more than 2 days in a row. It's awesome. And I sold $200,000 that way. Because here's the deal. I would be really surprised if anyone in here averaging 16 appointments a week. There's like one person. And it's Michael Southern. Duh, of course Michael Southern. Michael does like 43 appointments a week on his part-time weeks and then something. No, but by the way, remember I talked about self-discipline? Why does Michael Southern sell so much? He has more discipline than possibly anybody in this room. Let's give a round of applause to Michael. It's admirable working, but I don't have self-discipline. So here's what I like to do. I do phone time about it anymore. It doesn't even take self-discipline once. After those 30 days are up, getting up, going in the morning, you'll be like half asleep, walk over to the phone, and be like, what am I doing? It's my day off. But you're like, it's just part of who you are. It's a habit. You make those calls. No problem. So I recommend 4 days a week of working Cutco. Now during push periods, I go 7 days. I go all out. I get everything out. That's what push periods about. During your average week, if you do 4 appointments a day, 4 days a week, that's 16 appointments a week. No one in here is doing 16 appointments a week. Why are you working more than 3 or 4 days? If you want to average 12 appointments a week, then you do 4 appointments a day, 3 days a week. If you work 3, 4 days, or you can do 4 days, 2 days, it depends on, do any combo you want. But I recommend, hey, have a 3-day weekend every week. One thing I was going to tell you. Oh, on your days off, I recommend that you're not lazy. And here's why. I recommend that you pursue activities. In fact, my recommendation is ideally that you pursue your dreams. Like my dream was to write a book. So every morning and on my days off, when I sold Senator Grant, I wrote. And I would also focus on my speaking career. I basically focus on what are my goals and dreams beyond Cutco, and working a 4-day schedule gave me plenty of time to work on those things. So I encourage you to do that, or to be proactive. Like I pursue broad planning, exercise, get in great shape. But here's the thing: if you're lazy on your days off, it's that much harder to be motivated on your days off. But if you become a proactive person where you're always doing something to benefit your life, whether it's fun, non-Cutco, or whether it's Cutco, it's who you're becoming that allows success to be that much easier. I mentioned earlier that your entire life changes the day that you decide you will no longer accept mediocrity for your life. When you decide that today is the most important day of your life, that now matters more than any other time, because it's who you're becoming today by the decisions that you're making and the actions that you're taking that's determining who you're going to be for the rest of your life. Yeah. Your entire life changes the day you decide to stop accepting mediocrity for your life. Let today be that day for you. Thank you.